Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible, but make it in full screen mode, ma'am.
Yes. I am.
Yes, ma'am, it is perfect. Good to go.
So, good morning, one and all here. Mrinmayee Tiwari, being an architect, have always appreciated buildings and various open spaces, roads, environments, various technological advancements, and particularly the grand buildings which indicate power. For example, if any of you has gone to Delhi, you go to see the Rashtrapati Bhavan or the North Block or the Sansad Bhavan. We appreciate the grandeur of that particular building. So, as we say, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So, similarly, architecture is also the perception of the human eyes. The intersection of society and architecture represents the physical manifestation of human values, cultural identities, and power structures. The building and the urban infrastructure may act as a language of medium between the individuals and the space. So, if we see the architectural landscape of the entire Indian subcontinent, it is often defined by the soaring high shikharas or the Mughal domes or the bastions of the forts or the assembly buildings, etc., which represents the power centers of the particular region. Now, because these structures are usually house the patrons of the society, maybe the kings, queens, or the supreme almighty, who were the powerhouses of the society. Such architectural fabric truly depicted that society designs its architecture to reflect the current beliefs, and in turn, architecture shapes the social behavior of the users. A deep rooted belief in the Indian tradition is the concept of the Pancha Mahabhutas, as we all know, out of which aap, that is the water, is considered as the most vital purifier of the Sukshma Sharir, or what we call as the subtle body. The Vedas and the Upanishads have already portrayed the importance of water. The very source of water is found not above the ground but beneath the earth. We have seen every religious ritual is associated with water, and hence the concept of Jal Mandir arises where water is worshipped in the form of, as you can see, the Ganga Aarti, which is not basically worshipping Ganga, but we are worshipping the water there itself. So, our perception of space does not limit to Akash or Bhumi, but it descends down to the Patal, that is the subterranean space. An often overlooked chapter in the Indian history is the Stepwells, or what we may call in different regions as a Bauli, a Baudi, a Vav, Kalyani, Pushkarni, or a Barav. There could be many more names in the regional languages. These structures housed an entire ecosystem during the era. The origin of the step wells dated back to the Harappan region, to the Indus Valley civilization that featured a well designed water conservation system featuring the Great Bath. Then the rock cut step wells marked the transition from the simple trenches to subterranean spaces. Later on, as the Solanki dynasty ruled, they added the ornamentation and monumentality to showcase their status and power, as we can see in the Chan Bauli, which is considered as the most beautiful and the deepest Bauli. The Solankis never tried to rule the Stepwells, but they have started a sense of trusteeship. Further ahead, when Mughals invaded, the concept of trusteeship was soon converted to rulership or the ownership, which can be very well seen in their architectural elements or the domes or the arches, which are very well visible in the Adalaj through the inscriptions, the arches, jalis, etc. Soon, the utility of the stepwell progressed to social value and were treated as the urban centers for daily course, trades, etc. Later on, the British invaded and started declining the use of stepwells, saying that they may cause diseases and carry another bacteria. All the ceremonies and rituals related to water started happening in and around the stepwells. This cultural stewardship was often commissioned by the patrons of the region. Any grand structure is often powered by the highest authority, that is, maybe the kings or the queens. As women were the significant user group of the daily rituals or the daily chores which were carried out by them, like gathering the water, bathing, washing, leisure activities, interaction, etc. Hence, the step wells were traditionally viewed as a women's space. Now, we have been using the term space very occasionally. But what a space constitutes of? A three-dimensional enclosure? Maybe yes, maybe no. As Yatin Pandya rightly says, three dimensions of a space constitutes the basis of conception and perception of space. The abstract notion is perceived by the objects around us through senses, sound, light, etc. So, what makes a space a great place? Maybe the uses and the activities. Yes, of course. The activities define the space, they define character of the space, the users there, the comfort of the users, their security, the access to that space, various linkages, and most importantly, the people, the society, or the sociability. What includes in this? The sociability may include the interactiveness, the friendliness, the welcomingness of the space, the comfort, the stewardship, and the diverse character of the space. So, how do we define sociability or a social space? So, social space is the physical or virtual space, such as a social center, online social media, or other gathering place where people gather and interact. Some social spaces, such as town squares or parks or public spaces, others, such as pubs or shopping malls, are privately owned and regulated. A social space is already documented and very well defined in many Sanskrit scriptures as the hierarchy of human interaction, spheres of influence, and ethical boundaries. These concepts are woven through the Samaj, the Maryada, and the architectural science. These can be summarized as the mandala, that is the urban planning zone, the maryada, that constitutes the social norms, the parishad, that forms the public forum, and the goshti, the social circle. In Arthashastra also, Chanakya defines Sthaniya, the central city, through a rigid layout where the king's place or the powerhouse is placed at the center with the hierarchy of roads such that every sector is visually connected to ensure security. He also emphasized that the public space is the most dynamic social space which was accessible to all the cadres of the society. So, as we discussed about the three dimensions of space, another dimension would be the people who are actually experiencing it. Yatin Pandya, again in his book Elements of Space Making, has intuitively explained about the experience gained by the common elements. The notions of space are physically manifested through different elements as roof, walls, doors, window, columns, stairs, and floors. These elements influence the space and its experience of the built environment. So, when we see a floor is not only a physical or horizontal plane, but it has a deeper meaning. The floor emerging from beneath, when it acts as a horizontal plane, both the surfaces can be used in different forms. The top as a floor and the soffit or the bottom as a roof. Floor Floor can also define the pause and the movement points. Also, the floor is a connecting element for the built and the unbuilt as it shapes the negative space of the environment. The stair is the continuation of the floor. It is basically a visual connector or for different floors. It also gives orientation to the users for a particular space. When the steps are used as a pedestal, they can highlight a specific object or low light a specific object if placed beneath the staircase. These steps can also act as interactive spaces for seating and other informal activities. Column. The column is one of the most important parts that caters the structural stability of a particular structure. It gives the directionality, it gives the verticality for a particular structure. When the column is ornamented or decorated with certain motifs, it creates a focal point. When the columns are arranged in a series, it creates a rhythm and gives a direction to the user. The column, when arranged in a certain form, gives the actual shape of the space that gives the character to that particular space. Finally, the walls, doors, and windows are again an important part as an enclosure for a space. Walls define the enclosure. Walls can divide the private and public spaces. At the same time, the windows act as a communication link between the private and the public spaces, adding the privacy as well as the porosity in the structure. Doors are acting as a threshold between the public and the private sectors. So, when we study about the stepwells, all the above elements define the design of a typical stepwell. The Samarangana Sutradhar describes stepwell that constitutes the kuta, that is the pavilions that provide the structural bracings to withstand the lateral pressure of the soil beneath. The thala or the story creating multiple levels proportionate enough to the central shaft. The cooper or the shaft is circular or square well as the focal point descending to the kund or the water tank. Vapi, that is the step corridor, act as a transitional space often ornamented by toranas or arches which are again supporting the structure from the lateral pressure. According to Shilpa Shastra also, a step well can be categorized as Nanda, Bhadra, Jaya and Vijaya. Nanda is characterized by single entrance and straight flight of steps. Bhadra has two entrances that meet at central shaft, increasing the capacity of social interaction. Jaya, a T of Y-shaped plans allowing multiple access to allow more interaction. Vijaya offers a perfect symmetry with four entrances on four cardinal points, focusing the central shaft. A very important aspect of passive cooling is very well designed in all the types of the stepwells. Uh, what happened?
PPT is not visible, ma'am.
Yes,
Mm.
it says there was a problem.
Okay, share it again, ma'am.